3 weeks after the drinking party, Kira sat alone in her office. The room was dark, except for the glow of her computer screen. She had been staring at the same document for hours. It was her final report on human toxin resistance. The Galactic Council was waiting for it. They wanted answers. They wanted to know if humans were dangerous. They wanted to know if they should be afraid. Kira did not know what to tell them. She had started writing the report many times. Each time, she deleted everything and started over. The words never felt right. The science was easy. The facts were simple. But the truth was complicated. There was a knock at her door. "Come in," Kira said. Toma entered, carrying 2 cups. He set one down in front of Kira. It was the same drink she had tasted at the party. The chemistry team had made more of it after that night. "I thought you might need this," Toma said. Kira smiled and took a sip. The warmth spread through her body. It felt good. "Thank you," she said. Toma sat down across from her. "You are still working on the report?" "Yes, but I do not know how to finish it." "What is the problem?" Kira leaned back in her chair and sighed. "The council wants facts. They want data. They want me to explain human toxin resistance in simple terms. They want to know if humans are a threat. And what do you want to tell them?" Kira was quiet for a moment. "I want to tell them the truth. But the truth is not simple." She pulled up the video that had started everything. The recording of Do-yoon drinking soju in his quarters. She watched it again, even though she had seen it 100 times. "When I first saw this," Kira said, "I was horrified. I thought I was watching a creature die. I could not understand why anyone would do something so dangerous." She paused the video on Do-hyun's smiling face. "But now I look at this, and I see something different. I see a being who is not afraid, who embraces risk, who chooses to feel everything, even if it hurts." Toma nodded slowly. "I think I understand. The party changed how I see things too." "The party changed how everyone sees things," Kira said. "Have you noticed? Scientists are talking to each other more. People are eating lunch together. The station feels different, warmer." It was true. In the weeks since the party, the research station had changed. The strict divisions between departments had softened. People smiled more. They shared more. They connected more. Yuna had done something that 30 years of teamwork policies had failed to do. She had made the station feel like a community. Kira turned back to her report. She deleted everything again. Then she started typing. She wrote about the biology first. The liver enzymes. The cellular repair. The physical mechanisms that allowed humans to survive ethanol. This part was easy. This part was science. Then she wrote about the culture, the traditions, the social rituals, the way humans used alcohol to connect with each other. This part was harder. But she had good notes from her conversations with Yuna. Finally, she wrote about the party. She described what happened when aliens tried to drink like humans. She wrote about the games and the laughter and the dancing. She wrote about Kira's own tears when she talked, about her home world. She wrote about what it felt like to be drunk for the first time. The warmth, the openness, the strange freedom that came from letting go of control. By the time she finished, the station's lights were brightening for the morning cycle. Toma had fallen asleep in his chair. The cups were empty. Kira read through the report one last time. Then she added a final section. She called it Conclusions and Recommendations. She wrote, "Human resistance to ethanol toxicity is real and well documented. Their bodies have evolved mechanisms to process this poison, allowing them to consume it without immediate death. However, long-term consumption does cause damage. Many humans die from alcohol-related illnesses. Many more have their lives damaged by addiction. Despite these dangers, humans continue to drink. They have done so for over 10,000 years. Alcohol is part of their culture, their traditions, and their social lives. Why do they do this? The simple answer is that it makes them feel good. The complex answer involves everything that makes humans who they are. Humans live short lives. They know they will die. This knowledge makes them brave. They take risks that other species would avoid. They seek experiences that other species would fear. They live fully, even if it means living dangerously. This is not recklessness. It is a choice. Humans understand the costs and accept them. They believe that a life without risk is not really life at all. But is this dangerous to the galaxy? I do not think so. Humans do not want to hurt anyone. They just want to live. They want to feel. They want to connect with others. During my research, I had the opportunity to participate in human drinking culture. What I experienced changed my understanding of not only humans, but of myself and my own species. When we drank together, walls came down. Barriers disappeared. We talked honestly. We shared openly. We became closer to each other than we had been in all the years of working side by side. This is what humans bring to the galaxy. Not just their strange biology. Not just their resistance to poison. They bring a way of being alive that is contagious. They remind us that existence is not just about survival. It is about experience. My recommendation is as follows. Do not fear humans. Learn from them. They have mastered something that our advanced civilizations have forgotten. They know how to live. They know how to feel. They know how to connect. And sometimes, they know how to drink poison and ask for more. Not because they are immune to danger, but because they are brave enough to face it. End of report. Kira saved the document and sent it to the council. Then she leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. She did not know how the council would respond. They might dismiss her report as unscientific. They might question her objectivity. They might think the party had made her soft. She did not care. She had told the truth. That was all she could do. A few hours later, Yuna's transport ship left the station. Her time as a research volunteer was over. She was going back to New Seoul, back to her life, back to her family. Kira came to the docking bay to say goodbye. Thank you for everything, Yuna said. This was an interesting experience. Thank you for teaching us, Kira replied. We learned more than we expected. They stood awkwardly for a moment. Neither of them knew what to do. Handshakes were a human custom. Kira's species touched foreheads. But that seemed too personal. Finally, Yuna laughed and just hugged Kira. It was warm and short and a little clumsy because of Kira's forearms. But it felt right. Take care of yourself, Yuna said. And keep drinking sometimes. It is good for you. In small amounts. I will, Kira promised. Yuna walked up the ramp into her ship. At the top, she turned and waved. Kira waved back with all four hands. The ship departed. Kira watched it until it became a small dot among the stars. Then she went back to her lab. On her desk, Toma had left a gift. It was a bottle of the drink they had shared. There was a note attached. For next time, the note said. There will always be a next time. Kira smiled and put the bottle in her drawer. Outside her window, the galaxy turned slowly in the darkness. Billions of stars. Billions of worlds. Billions of species, each with their own way of being alive. And somewhere out there, humans were drinking poison and laughing about it. They were singing songs and telling jokes and dancing on tables. They were living fully, even though they would die soon. They were, Kira realized, the bravest creatures she had ever met, and she was glad to call them friends. The report was published a month later. It caused quite a stir in the scientific community. Some agreed with Kira's conclusions. Others thought she had gone too far. The debate continues to this day. But one thing changed forever. In research stations across the galaxy, scientists started having parties. They created special drinks for their species. They played games. They told stories. They laughed and cried and connected with each other. They called these events human nights. And they always toasted the same way. To new friends. And to whatever strange adventures come next. It was, everyone agreed, the best thing that ever came out of the toxicology lab. And it all started with one human. One bottle of soju and the courage to drink something dangerous for the sake of feeling alive. The recreation room on Deck 15 had never been used for anything like this before. Yuna had spent all afternoon preparing. She pushed the tables together to make one big surface. She set up chairs around it. She found cups and glasses in the kitchen. She even made some snacks using the food printer, though she was not sure how well they turned out. The hardest part was the alcohol. She could not give ethanol to aliens. It would kill most of them instantly. So she worked with the station's chemistry team to create special drinks. Each species got a liquid that would affect their brain in a similar way to how alcohol affected humans, but without the deadly poison dot for the Prillans. A species with copper-based blood, she made a mild acid solution. For the Karathi, beings made of living crystal, she created a sound frequency drink that vibrated pleasantly. For Thomas species, she developed a pollen mixture that caused gentle hallucinations. It was a lot of work. But Yuna was determined to show these aliens what human social drinking was really about. By evening, a small crowd had gathered outside the recreation room. Word had spread quickly through the station. Everyone wanted to see the crazy human who drank poison for fun. Kira arrived first, with Toma close behind. Then came scientists from other departments. Then came maintenance workers. Then came the cleaning staff. Soon, the room was packed with aliens of every kind. Yuna stood at the head of the big table and smiled at everyone. "Welcome to the first ever galactic drinking party," she said. "Tonight, I am going to teach you about human drinking culture. But first, some rules." She held up one finger. Rule 1. Drink only what was made for your species. The chemistry team worked hard on these drinks. If you drink something meant for a different species, you might get sick or worse. She held up a second finger. Rule 2. Stop when you want to stop. There is no shame in saying no. In my culture, we never force anyone to drink. It is always a choice. She held up a third finger. Rule 3. Have fun. That is the whole point of this. If you are not having fun, you are doing it wrong. The aliens nodded, though many of them still looked nervous. Yuna picked up a bottle of soju that she had saved for herself. Now, let me tell you about the first drinking game. It is called nunchi. In Korean, this word means something like reading the room or sensing the mood. It is a game about paying attention to other people. She explained the rules. Everyone would count in order, but no one was assigned a number. You had to guess when it was your turn by watching the others. If two people spoke at the same time, everyone had to drink. This game teaches you to watch and listen, Yuna said. It teaches you to be part of a group. They tried it. The first round was a disaster. Aliens kept speaking at the same time. They were not used to reading each other's body language. But after a few rounds, they started to get better. They started to pay attention, and they started to drink. Kira felt the effects first. The solution made for her species caused a pleasant warmth in her 4 stomachs. Her movements became slower, looser. She found herself laughing at small things. "This is strange," she said, her voice softer than usual. "I feel strange, but not in a bad way." "That is the feeling," Yuna said with a grin. "We call it being tipsy. It is the first stage of being drunk." Thomas' pollen drink was working too. His big eyes were half closed, and he kept smiling at nothing. "Everything looks so pretty," he said dreamily. "The lights are like tiny stars. Your face is like a moon. Yuna laughed. Okay, Toma is definitely feeling it. They played more games. Yuna taught them a word game where you had to think fast or drink. She taught them a memory game where you added items to a list. She taught them a simple game where everyone picked a number, and whoever picked the highest had to drink . As the night went on, the mood in the room changed. The aliens were no longer nervous scientists studying a strange phenomenon. They were friends having a good time. Stories started coming out. Kira talked about her home world. She described the great oceans and the cities that floated on them. She talked about her family, who she had not seen in 20 years. Her eyes became wet, like Yuna's had during the experiment. I miss the water, Kira admitted quietly. The recycled water here is not the same. It does not taste like home. Yuna reached out and put a hand on Kira's arm. I understand. I miss Earth too. I miss the rain. I miss the mountains. I miss the way my mother made breakfast. They sat together in comfortable silence for a moment. On the other side of the table, Toma was telling jokes to a group of maintenance workers. His jokes made no sense, but everyone laughed anyway. The pollen drink had made him very confident. Why did the research station go to therapy? Toma asked, barely able to contain his own laughter. Because it had too many issues with its space. The workers roared with laughter. One of them, a large creature with rocky skin, slapped a table so hard it cracked. That is the worst joke I've ever heard. The rocky creature shouted. Tell another one. In the corner, a group of crystalline beings were humming together. Their species communicated partly through vibration, and the sound frequency drink had amplified this. Their humming created beautiful music that filled the room. A few beings had started dancing. There was no proper music, just the humming of the crystals and the laughter of the crowd. But it was enough. They moved in whatever way felt right. Yuna watched it all with a warm feeling in her chest. This was what drinking was supposed to be. Not just the alcohol. Not just the chemicals affecting the brain. It was about connection. It was about breaking down walls between people. Late in the evening, someone called for a toast. What is a toast? Kira asked, her words slightly slurred. Yuna stood up and raised her glass. A toast is when everyone raises their drink together and says something meaningful before drinking. It is a way to honor something or someone. Everyone raised their various cups, glasses, and containers. In my culture, Yuna said, we have many things we toast to. We toast to health, to happiness, to success. But tonight I want to toast to something else. She looked around the room at all the different faces. Blue and green and silver. Crystal and rock and light. Every shape and size that life could take. Tonight I want to toast to new friends, she said. I came to this station as a research subject. You wanted to study me like an animal in a cage. But instead, you invited me to teach you. You opened your minds to something new and strange. And now, here we are, drinking together, laughing together, being together. She felt tears in her eyes again. Happy tears. That is the real power of drinking, she said. Not the alcohol, not the chemicals. The power is in the sharing, in the connection, in the moment when strangers become friends. She raised her glass higher, to new friends, and to whatever strange adventures come next, to new friends. Everyone shouted together. They drank down, and for that moment, in that room, there were no aliens and humans. There were no scientists and subjects. There were just beings, enjoying life together. It was, Yuna thought, the most human thing she had ever experienced. Even though she was the only human in the room, the party continued until the station's lights dimmed for the night cycle. By then, half the guests had fallen asleep in their chairs. The other half were still talking, their voices soft and happy. Kira found Yuna near the window, looking out at the stars. "Thank you," Kira said simply. "For what?" "For showing us this. I have studied poisons for 30 years. I thought I understood danger, but I did not understand life." Yuna smiled. "You are welcome. Thank you for inviting me. This was fun." They stood together, watching the stars. "I am going to put this in my report," Kira said after a while. "Not just the biology, not just the chemistry. I am going to write about tonight, about what drinking really means to humans. What will you say?" Kira thought about it for a long moment. "I will say that humans do not drink poison because they are immune to it. They drink it because they are brave enough to face it. They risk a little pain for a lot of connection. They choose to live fully, even if it means living dangerously." She turned to look at Yuna. "I will say that humans are the most alive creatures in the galaxy, and maybe we should all learn from them." Yuna did not know what to say, so she just smiled and raised her empty glass. "I will drink to that," she said. The next morning, Kira called a meeting in the main conference room. Every department head was required to attend. The room was packed with aliens of every shape and size. They sat in chairs designed for their different bodies. They waited for Kira to speak. Toma stood next to her, holding a stack of reports. His green fur was messy. He had not slept all night. Neither had Kira. "Thank you all for coming," Kira began. "Yesterday, we conducted an experiment with our human volunteer. The results were unexpected." She pressed a button, and a large screen behind her lit up. It showed a graph of Yuna's vital signs during the experiment. As you can see, the human consumed over 300 milliliters of ethanol over a 2-hour period. Her body processed the toxin without any lasting damage. She is currently resting in her quarters and reports feeling only mild discomfort, which she calls a hangover. "A hangover?" someone asked. "What is that?" "It is what happens the day after drinking," Kira explained. The human described it as a headache and tiredness. She said it would go away after she ate some soup and rested. The room was quiet. Everyone was trying to understand this information. The head of biology, a tall creature with silver skin, raised his hand. "This is impossible. Ethanol destroys cells. It damages organs. How can any creature survive such exposure?" Kira nodded at Toma. He stepped forward nervously. "We studied the human's medical records," Toma said. "It seems that human bodies have special ways to process ethanol. They have something called liver enzymes. These enzymes break down the ethanol into less harmful chemicals. The process is not perfect. It still causes some damage. But humans can repair this damage over time." "They can repair poison damage?" the biology head asked, his voice rising. "Yes," Thomas said, slowly. "If they do not drink too much or too often, their bodies can recover completely." Another scientist spoke up. She was small and had many eyes. "But why would they do this? Why would any creature choose to poison itself?" This was the question Kira had been waiting for. She had thought about it all night. She had talked to Yuna about it for hours. "Human Yuna is awake now," Kira said. "I have asked her to join us and explain in her own words." The door opened and Yuna walked in. She looked tired but cheerful. She was holding a cup of something hot. Steam rose from it. "Good morning," she said. "Sorry, I look rough." That soju was stronger than I expected. She sat down at the front of the room, next to Kira. Every alien eye was on her. "Thank you for coming," Kira said. "We have many questions." "I figured you would," Yuna said with a smile. "Ask away." The biology head went first. "Why do humans drink poison?" Yuna thought for a moment. "That is a big question. There are many reasons. The simple answer is that it makes us feel good. But the deeper answer is more complicated." She took a sip from her cup. Humans have always looked for ways to change how we feel. Life can be hard. Work is stressful. Relationships are complicated. Sometimes we want to escape from our problems, even just for a little while. Alcohol helps with that. But it hurts you, the biology head said. Why would you want something that hurts you? Lots of things that feel good hurt us a little, Una said. Eating too much food. Staying up too late. Falling in love. She smiled at that last one. Humans are not very good at avoiding things that might hurt us. We are better at enjoying things that feel good, even if there is a cost. The scientist with many eyes spoke next. You said alcohol brings people together. Can you explain this? Una's face softened. In my culture, drinking is rarely something you do alone. We drink with friends, with family, with coworkers. It is a social activity. When you drink together, you relax. You talk more openly. You share things you might not share when you are sober. Sober? Kira asked. What does this word mean? Sober means not affected by alcohol, Una explained. When you are sober, you are careful. You think before you speak. You hold back your feelings. But when you drink, those walls come down. You become more honest, more emotional, more connected to the people around you. She paused, looking around the room at all the different aliens. In my country, we have a saying. It goes something like, the things you say when you are drunk are the things you think when you are sober. Alcohol does not change who you are. It just shows who you really are. The room was very quiet. The aliens were thinking about this. Toma raised his paw slowly. But what about the dangers? What about the damage to your body? Una nodded seriously. You are right. Alcohol is dangerous. If you drink too much, it can kill you. If you drink too often, it can destroy your liver and your brain. Many humans have died from drinking. Many more have had their lives ruined by it. Then why is it legal? Someone asked. Why do your governments allow it? Because it is part of our culture, Una said. Humans have been drinking for over 10,000 years. It is woven into our traditions, our celebrations, our grief. We drink at weddings. We drink at funerals. We drink when we are happy. We drink when we are sad. It is part of what makes us human. She set down her cup. Also, we tried to make it illegal once. It did not work. Humans just made alcohol secretly and sold it anyway. Sometimes, you cannot stop people from doing dangerous things. You can only teach them to be careful. The head of philosophy, a floating creature made mostly of light, spoke for the first time. This is fascinating. You are saying that humans knowingly harm themselves for emotional and social benefits. This suggests that human happiness is more important to them than human safety. Una smiled. That is one way to put it. I would say it differently. Humans know that life is short. We know that we will die eventually. So we choose to live fully while we can, even if it means taking some risks. This statement hit the room like a physical force. Many aliens lived for hundreds or thousands of years. They were careful. They were cautious. They avoided anything that might shorten their long lives. But humans lived only 80 or 90 years. And they spent some of that time poisoning themselves for fun. That it was either the bravest thing the aliens had ever heard, or the craziest. Maybe it was both. Kira stood up. Thank you, Human Una. This has been very educational. You are welcome, Una said. But I have a question for you. Kira was surprised. Yes? Una looked around the room. All of you study toxins. You know what is dangerous and what is safe. But have you ever just tried something? Have you ever done something risky just to see how it feels? No one answered. The silence said everything. Una smiled kindly. Maybe you should try it sometime. Not poison, obviously, but something that scares you a little. Something that makes your heart beat faster. That is what it feels like to be alive. She stood up and walked toward the door. At the exit, she stopped and looked back. By the way, she said, I am feeling much better now. The hangover is almost gone. If anyone wants to learn more about human drinking culture, I am happy to give a demonstration tonight. I can teach you some drinking games. She left the room. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, quietly, Toma raised his paw. I want to learn a drinking game, he said. Kira looked at him in shock. But then, slowly, she nodded. So do I, she admitted. And that was how everything changed. The toxicology lab had never been so crowded. Scientists from every department had come to watch. They filled the observation room above the testing chamber. They pressed their faces against the glass. They whispered to each other in nervous voices. Kira stood at the main control panel. Her 4 hands moved quickly over the buttons. She was preparing everything for the experiment. Behind her, Toma checked the medical equipment for the 10th time. Are you sure this is safe? Toma asked. What if the human dies? What if we kill her? She volunteered, Kira reminded him. She knows what we are going to do. She said she was not worried. That is exactly what worries me. Toma muttered. Below them, in the testing chamber, Yuna sat at a simple metal table. She looked calm. She looked bored, actually. She was playing with her hair and looking around the room like she was waiting for a bus. Kira spoke into the microphone. Human Yuna, can you hear me? Yuna looked up at the observation window and waved. Yes, I can hear you. Are we starting soon? I skipped breakfast for this. The scientists in the observation room exchanged confused looks. The humans seemed completely relaxed. Did she not understand the danger? Kira took a deep breath. We are going to begin now. We will present you with a substance. We want you to tell us if you recognize it. Then, if you are willing, we will ask you to consume a small amount. Sure, Yuna said. Bring it on. Kira pressed a button. A small door in the wall of the testing chamber opened. A robot arm came out, holding a tray. On the tray was a glass bottle filled with clear liquid. Every scientist in the room held their breath. The robot arm placed the tray on the table in front of Yuna. Then it went back into the wall. The door closed. Yuna looked at the bottle. She picked it up. She turned it around in her hands. She read the label, which said only Sample A, Class 3 Toxin, extremely dangerous. Then she opened the bottle and smelled it. Several scientists screamed. One of them fainted. Toma covered his eyes with his paws, but Yuna just smiled. Oh, nice, she said. This is soju. Good quality too, I think. Where did you get this? Kira was confused. Soju? We do not know this word. Our computers identified this substance as ethanol. It is a deadly poison. Yuna laughed. It was a warm, friendly sound. Ethanol? Yes, that is what it is. But we do not call it that. We call it soju, or beer, or wine, or vodka. It depends on how you make it. You have many names for poison? Toma asked, his voice high with disbelief. It is not poison to us, Yuna explained. Well, technically it is. But our bodies can handle it. We drink it for fun. The observation room exploded with noise. Scientists shouted questions. They argued with each other. They demanded more information. Kira raised her 4 hands for silence. The room slowly became quiet. Human Yuna, Kira said carefully. Are you saying that humans regularly consume ethanol? On purpose? For enjoyment? Yes, Yuna said simply. Almost every human culture has some kind of alcohol. We have been drinking it for thousands of years. It is a big part of our social life. This information was too much for some of the scientists. 3 more of them fainted. One started crying. Another one left the room, saying he needed to rethink his entire career. Kira tried to stay professional. Would you be willing to demonstrate? We need to document the effects for our research. Yuna shrugged. Sure. Can I have a glass? A robot arm delivered a small glass to her table. Yuna poured some of the soju into it. She held it up to the light and looked at it. In my culture, we have a tradition, she said. When you drink with someone older than you turn your head away. It is a sign of respect. She paused and looked up at the window. But I do not know how old any of you are. And you are not drinking with me. So I will just drink normally? She raised the glass to her lips and drank it all in one quick motion. The room was completely silent. Every eye was on Yuna. Every scanner was recording. Every computer was analyzing. Yuna put down the empty glass. She made a small sound, like, ah, then she smiled. That is good soju, she said. Smooth, not too strong. Do you have any snacks? Soju goes well with fried chicken. Kira checked the medical readouts. Yuna's heart rate was normal. Her breathing was normal. Her brain activity was normal. She showed no signs of distress. No signs of pain. No signs of dying. How do you feel? Kira asked. Fine, Yuna said. A little warm. 1 glass is not very much. It takes more than that to feel the real effects. The real effects? Toma repeated weakly. There are more effects? Yuna nodded. When you drink enough, you start to feel relaxed, happy, talkative. Some people get silly. Some people get emotional. Some people sing songs. She paused and grinned. Some people dance on tables. Kira remembered the video of Doyun. That explained a lot. Would you be willing to drink more? Kira asked. So we can observe these effects? Yuna thought about it. How much more? As much as you are comfortable with. We will stop whenever you want. Yuna looked at the bottle. There was still a lot of soju left. She shrugged again. Okay, but you should know I can drink quite a lot. Humans have something called tolerance. The more you drink over time, the more you can handle. This information caused another wave of shock in the observation room. Not only could humans survive poison, but they could train themselves to survive more of it. Yuna poured another glass and drank it. Then another. Then another. Kira watched the medical readouts carefully. After the 3rd glass, Yuna's cheeks turned a little pink. After the 5th glass, she started talking more. After the 7th glass, she began telling jokes. Why did the human bring alcohol to the spaceship? She asked, giggling. Because she heard it was a long trip and she wanted to have a good time. None of the alien scientists understood the joke, but Yuna laughed at it anyway. She laughed so hard that tears came out of her eyes. Are you in pain? Toma asked, alarmed by the tears. No, Yuna said, wiping her eyes. These are happy tears. I am just having fun. This is what alcohol does. It makes you feel good. Kira wrote this down in her notes. Subject shows emotional changes. Increased laughter. Tear production unrelated to distress. After the 10th glass, Yuna started singing. It was a song in her native language. The scientist did not understand the words, but the melody was beautiful and sad. What is this song about? Kira asked. It is about missing someone you love, Yuna said. Her voice was softer now. Alcohol makes you feel things more deeply. Happy things feel happier. Sad things feel sadder. That is why we often drink together with friends. It is easier to share feelings. Kira had never thought about poison this way. She had never thought about any of this. After the 12th glass, Yuna stopped drinking. She said she was at her limit. She was still alive. She was still talking. She was just very relaxed and very honest. "I miss my home," she said quietly, looking at the empty bottle. "I miss my family. I miss sitting with my brother and drinking soju and talking about nothing important." She smiled sadly. That is the best thing about alcohol. It brings people together. Kira did not know what to say. She had expected to learn about human biology today. She had not expected to learn about human hearts. The experiment was over. But the questions were just beginning. The Galactic Research Station floated in the dark space between stars. It was old. It was big. And inside its walls, scientists from 100 different worlds worked together to understand the universe. On the 47th floor, there was a special room. The sign on the door said, "Toxicology Lab. Dangerous materials inside." This was where alien scientists studied poisons from every corner of the galaxy. They tested chemicals. They wrote reports. They kept the universe safe from dangerous substances. Kira was the head of this lab. She had blue skin and 4 arms. Her people came from a water world far away. She had worked in this lab for 30 years, and she thought she had seen everything. She was wrong. It started on a normal day. Kira was checking the security cameras from a human colony called New Sol. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only been in space for about 200 years. The Galactic Council wanted to study them, so they put cameras everywhere humans lived. Kira did not like this job. Watching humans was boring. They did strange things. They laughed too loud. They touched each other too much. They were messy and emotional and confusing. But today, something caught her attention. On the screen, she saw a human male sitting at a table. His name tag said Doyun. He was young, maybe 30 years old by human counting. He had black hair and tired eyes. In front of him was a small glass bottle filled with clear liquid. Kira leaned closer to the screen. Her computer was already scanning the liquid. When the results came back, her 4 hearts almost stopped. The liquid was ethanol. Pure ethanol. Kira knew ethanol very well. It was one of the most dangerous poisons in the galaxy. It could kill most species in small amounts. It destroyed cells. It damaged organs. It was classified as a Class 3 toxin, which meant deadly on contact. And this human was about to drink it. Kira wanted to scream. She wanted to send a warning. But the recording was from 12 hours ago. Whatever happened had already happened. She watched with wide eyes as Do-hyun picked up the bottle. He opened it. He smelled it. And then, to her complete horror, he poured the poison into a small glass and drank it in one quick motion. Kira waited for him to fall. She waited for him to shake. She waited for him to die. But Do-hyun did none of these things. Instead, he made a face. He shook his head. And then he laughed. He actually laughed. He poured another glass and drank that too. Kira could not believe what she was seeing. She replayed the video 3 times. Each time, the same thing happened. The human drank the poison. The human survived. The human seemed to enjoy it. She called her assistant, a small creature named Toma. Toma had big eyes and green fur. He was young and eager to learn. "Toma," Kira said, her voice shaking. "Come here, now." Toma hurried over. "What is wrong, senior researcher?" Kira pointed at the screen. "Watch this." She played the video again. Toma watched. His big eyes got even bigger. "That is ethanol," Toma whispered. "Yes, the human is drinking ethanol. Yes, the human is not dying. Yes." Toma sat down slowly. His green fur turned a little pale. "This is not possible. Ethanol is a Class 3 toxin. It kills on contact. Our textbooks say so." Kira shook her head. "Our textbooks are wrong. Or at least, they are wrong about humans." They watched the rest of the recording together. Over the next 2 hours, Do-hyun drank more and more of the poison. His behavior changed. He became louder. He started singing. He called his friends on his communication device and talked very fast. At one point, he tried to dance on the table. What is happening to him? Toma asked. Is this how humans die? Slowly and with singing? I do not think he is dying, Kira said slowly. I think he is enjoying himself. This made no sense. Poison was not enjoyable. Poison was painful and deadly. Every species in the galaxy knew this. It was a basic fact of life. But humans, it seemed, did not follow basic facts. Kira saved the video file. She marked it as Priority 1, Urgent Review Required. She sent copies to every department head in the station. Then she sat back in her chair and tried to understand what she had just seen. For the next 3 days, the video spread through the research station like fire. Scientists from every department watched it. They argued about it. They refused to believe it. It must be fake, said the head of biology. No creature can survive ethanol. The human is clearly a robot, said the head of technology. This is a trick. Maybe humans are already dead, said the head of philosophy. Maybe they are ghosts who only look alive. But Kira knew the truth. The video was real. The human was real. And somehow, impossibly, humans could drink poison and survive. She needed more information. She needed to understand how this was possible. She filled out the paperwork for a special research project. She requested permission to bring a human to the station for study. She wrote long reports about the importance of understanding human biology. The council approved her request in record time. They were just as confused as she was. 2 weeks later, a transport ship arrived at the station. On board was a human volunteer who had agreed to help with the research. Her name was Yuna, and she was a medical officer from the New Soul colony. Kira waited at the docking bay with her team. She was nervous. She had never met a human in person before. She had only watched them on screens. When the door opened, Yuna stepped out. She was smaller than Kira expected. She had long dark hair and a kind smile. She did not look like a creature that could survive poison. Hello, Yuna said in simple galactic common. I am here to help with your research. I heard you have questions about human drinking habits. Kira nodded slowly. Yes, we have many questions. Yuna smiled even wider. Good. I hope I can help. Do you have any soju here? The trip was long, and I could use a drink. Kira did not know what soju was, but she had a feeling she was about to find out, and she was not sure she was ready for the answer.